in the human kingdom, and their essential quality and nature remain as yet a mystery. It will be necessary for me to avoid the cosmic note, if I may so call it, for I seek to make the information of practical value to the student and to the intelligent reader. I shall therefore approach the subject entirely from the standpoint of the human family, and deal with the subject in terms of psychological values, laying the foundation for that new psychology which is much needed, and so dealing primarily with the human equation. What I have to say will be a commentary upon an expansion of the words found in the proem of the secret doctrine, that all souls are one with the Oversoul. We shall, from the outset, accept the fact of the soul. We shall not consider the arguments for or against the hypothesis of there being a soul universal, cosmic, and divine, or individual and human. For our purposes of discussion, the soul exists, and its intrinsic reality is assumed as a basic and proven principle. Those who do not admit this assumption can, however, study the book from the angle of a temporarily accepted hypothesis, and thus seek to gather those analogies and indications which may substantiate the point of view. To the aspirant, and to those who are seeking to demonstrate the existence of the soul because they believe in its existence, this expression of its laws and tradition, its nature, origin and potentialities will become a gradually deepening and experienced phenomenon. What I indicate and the suggestions I may make, will, I forecast, be demonstrated, in the scientific sense, during the coming Aquarian age. Science will then have penetrated a little further into the field of intangible yet real phenomena. It will have discovered, mayhap it has already made this discovery, that the dense and concrete do not exist. It will know that there is but one substance, present in nature in varying degrees of density, and of vibratory activity, and that this substance is impelled by urgent purpose and expressive of divine intent. We shall seek to avoid, as far as possible, those loose generalities, which are so distressing to the academic and critical mind, and in which the mystic finds such relief and joy. I will, however, ask those who study this treatise to reserve their opinion and come to no crystallized judgment, until the entire proposition has been presented to them, and its outlines have been clearly sensed and its details somewhat elaborated. It will be necessary for us to introduce the subject on a wide basis, and to link the individual with the general, and this may, at the first, seem too vast a theme, too speculative a presentation and too misty and vague an outline. But this situation cannot be avoided, for the argument, as must be the case in all truly occult work, must be considered from the universal to the particular, from the cosmic to the individual. Men are, as yet, too interested in the particular, and the individual to find it easy to apply the same interest to the greater whole in which they live and move and have their being, nor do they at this time, as a general rule, possess that inner mechanism of thought and that intuitive perception of truth which will enable them easily to grasp the significance of that which underlies the symbolism of words, or to see clearly the subjective outline under the objective form. But the effort to understand carries its own reward, and the attempt to grasp and comprehend the soul cosmic, universal, planetary, and individual leads inevitably to an unfoldment of the mental apparatus, with the subsequent development of the, as yet, quiescent brain cells, which must eventually produce a coordination of the thinking faculty, and resultant illumination. The nature of our septenary universe must be considered, and the relation of the threefold human being to the divine Trinity must be noted. A general idea of the entire symbolic picture is of value. Each student, as he takes up the study of the rays, must steadily bear in mind that he himself as a human unit finds his place on one or other of these rays. The problem thus produced is a very real one. The physical body may be responsive to one type of ray force, whilst the personality as a whole may vibrate in unison with another. the ego or soul may find itself upon still a third type of ray, thus responding to another type of ray energy. The question of the monadic ray brings in still another factor in many cases, but this can only be implied and not really elucidated. As I have oft told you, it is only the initiate of the third initiation who can come in touch with his monadic ray, or his highest life aspect, and the humble aspirant cannot as yet ascertain whether he is a monad of power, of love or of intelligent activity. In concluding, I ask for your sincere cooperation in the work which we are undertaking. It may be of more general and public value than any other of my writings. I shall seek to make this treatise upon the soul relatively brief. I shall seek to express these abstract truths in such a way that the general public, with its profound interest in the soul, may be intrigued and won to a deeper consideration of what is as yet a veiled surmise. The Aquarian age will see the fact of the soul demonstrated. This is an attempt, carried forward in the difficulties of a transition period which lacks even the needed terminology, to aid that demonstration. Let me also add that your attitude to the imparted instruction should be that of the student who is seeking truth that can be verified and information that can be applied to the daily life and tested in the crucible of life experience. If, for instance, there are indeed 7 rays, embodying 7 types of divine energy, then the man should be able to recognize these types and energies in the particular field of phenomena in which he plays his little part. If the truth given is veiled in symbolism and offered as an hypothesis, it should at the same time be unveiled sufficiently so as to be recognizable, and should have in it a sufficient intelligent appeal to warrant its investigation. The words, all souls are one with the Oversoul, may and do, I believe, embody a basic and essential piece of information, but unless there is evidence in the world that there is appearing a living relation between all sentient beings, then the statement is meaningless. But the fact is that universal sentiency and a general awareness are recognized everywhere, as existing and as developing. The world is full of knowledge, which is in the last analysis sentient response to conditions which exist, by minds which are developing but are not fully developed. It is becoming gradually apparent that under diversity lies a basic unity, and that our awareness is right and true and correct insofar as we can identify ourselves with this unity. In closing, may I beg all of you to go forward. Let nothing in the past, physical inertia, mental depression, lack of emotional control keep you from taking fresh hold and with joy and interest making that needed progress which will fit you for more active and useful service. That none of you may be hindered by the past or by the present, but may live as onlookers, is the prayer, constant and believing, of your teacher. The Tibetan. Introductory remarks. 1. The 3 objectives in studying the rays. 2. Definition of the words. Life quality appearance. 3. The 7 rays enumerated. 4. The function of Christianity. Chapter I. Introductory remarks. The 3 objectives in studying the rays. The study of the rays, and a true and deep comprehension of the inner significance of the teaching, will do for us 3 things. A. It will throw much light upon the times and cycles in the unfolding panorama of history. In the last analysis, history is an account of the growth and development of man from the stage of the caveman, with his consciousness centered in his animal life, up to the present time when the human consciousness is steadily becoming more inclusive and mental, and so on and up to the stage of the perfected Son of God. It is an account of the apprehension, by man, of the creative ideas which have molded the race and are establishing its destiny. It gives us a dramatic picture of the progress of those souls who are carried in or out of manifestation by the appearance or disappearance of a ray. We shall find, as we study, that words will greatly handicap our expression of the realities involved, and we must endeavor to penetrate beneath the surface meaning to the esoteric structure of truth. These rays are in constant movement and circulation, and demonstrate an activity which is progressive and cyclic and evidences increasing momentum. They are dominant at one time and quiescent at another, and, according to the particular ray which is making its presence felt at any particular time, so will be the quality of the civilization, the type of forms which will make their appearance in the kingdoms of nature, and the consequent stage of awareness, the state of consciousness, of the human beings who are carried into form life in that particular era. These embodied lives, again in all four kingdoms, will be responsive to the peculiar vibration, quality, coloring and nature of the ray in question. The ray in manifestation will affect potently the three bodies, which constitute the personality of man, and the influence of the ray will produce changes in the mind content and the emotional nature of the man and determine the caliber of the physical body. I am aware, therefore, that in giving out this relatively new teaching upon the rays I may, in my endeavor, to shed fresh light, temporarily increase the complexity of the subject. But as experiment is made, as people are studied in the laboratories of the psychologists, and the psychoanalysts in connection with their ray indications, and as the newer sciences come into wise use, and their proper sphere, we shall gain much and the teaching will find corroboration. We shall see emerging a new approach to the ancient truths, and a new mode of investigating humanity. In the meantime let us concentrate upon the clear enunciation of the truth and the rays, and seek to tabulate, outline and indicate their nature, purpose and effects. The seven rays, being cyclic in appearance, have continuously passed in and out of manifestation, and have thus left their mark down the ages upon mankind, and therefore hold the clue to any true historical survey. Such a survey still remains to be made. A second result of the study of the rays will be to clarify our knowledge as to the nature of man. Modern psychology, experimental and academic, has done much to gather information as to how a man functions, what is the nature of his reactions, the caliber of his thought apparatus, and the quality of his physical mechanism, the mode of his thinking and the sum total of complexes, psychoses, neuroses, instincts, intuitions and intellectual fixations which he undoubtedly is. Medical psychology has also given us much, and we have learned that the human being is entirely conditioned by his instrument of expression, and can express no more than his nervous system, brain and glands permit. We find, however, that some of the theories, even the best proven, break down, given varying conditions. The field covered by psychology today is so vast, its schools so many and varied, and its terminology so cumbersome, that I can make no attempt to deal with it here. The indebtedness of the world to the trained psychologists cannot be estimated, but unless there is a key idea interjected into the whole field of thought, it will fall of its own weight, and produce, as it is already producing, problems, complexes and diseases of the mind which are direct results of its own methods. The knowledge we now have of how men work on the physical plane as integrated personalities, and of how they can be expected to work, given certain conditions,